Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. This is Umineko and the Seagull's Cry. It's a very good story, very long story. Oh no. Maria. Everyone looked back at Rosa when she let out a small scream. What? What is it? I'm sorry, I'm going outside for a second. I'll be right back. What the? Seriously, what's going on with her? Don't worry, she'll be back soon. More importantly, shouldn't we begin? Our main topic. That's right. We can keep talking about that without Rosa. Let's return to our discussion. Ellipses. Rosa dashed from the entrance hall into the rose garden. When she opened the door, the wind that hit her was too strong to be called a light breeze, and told her that the typhoon was approaching faster than she'd thought. Just as Kyrie had said, the wind was mixed in with small droplets of rain. There was also a low rumble of thunder. It could start raining any time. Rosa headed for the rose garden. She headed for the place where she scolded Maria a short while ago. It was almost lunchtime. The children had been told to come to the mansion around lunchtime, so they were probably in the guest house waiting to be called. Even if Maria didn't come to them, they would surely think I took her to the mansion with me and wouldn't worry much. After all, she had been with her mother, so there should have been no reason to worry. I was here and I abandoned my daughter to the worsening weather. Maria, are you there? If you're there, answer me. Ooh, I was right. She was still standing stock still exactly the same way she had been, in the place where I had scolded her. Held in her hand was the candy that I bought, given her, and then stepped on and crushed. With that gripped in her hand, she stood there as the powerful winds whipped her hair about, tormenting her. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Sorry, Maria. Forgive Mama. Ooh, Mama, welcome back. I waited a long time for you to come back. The scary witch pinched me, but I stayed strong, waiting for Mama to come back without crying. Maria? Forgive your Mama, forgive your Mama. You didn't do anything wrong. You were just possessed by a bad witch again. So I'm fine. I really like you, Mama. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive your Mama for losing to the bad witch. Rosa buried her face in Maria's small chest, crying and begging forgiveness. And once again those tears dripped down after who knows how many times. If only the brilliant sun had been shining on the two of them. All of their cares would have evaporated, and it might have felt like they could begin anew. However, what surrounded the two of them was the worsening weather. Sadly, there were only fierce winds with occasional thunder. The sound of Maria sniffling brought Rosa to her senses. If Maria stood exposed to the wind for too long, she'd probably catch a cold. Okay, Maria, it's almost time for lunch. Why don't you come back to the mansion with me? Ooh? Won't go. But why not? Rosa thought she had already received Maria's forgiveness, so she hadn't imagined Maria would refuse. But that expression on Maria's face didn't look like that of a child resisting her mother. So Rosa couldn't understand why Maria wanted to stand still pointlessly as the weather grew even worse. Maria answered that question. "It's Beatrice. She'll be here really soon, so I'm waiting." "Maria?" Rosa struggled to find words for a moment, then fell silent. They'd only just managed to make up, after all. She chose her words carefully, trying to get Maria to come with her to the mansion without denying the witch outright. "Beatrice is coming?" "Ooh. Really? Then instead of waiting here, why don't we wait in the mansion? If you stay in this wind too long, you'll catch a cold." "She'll come. Why not to the mansion? Why won't she come to the mansion?" "Why do you have to meet at the rose garden?" "Beatrice will come. And when she does, I'll give her candy. I'll do trick or treat. I'll give her a jack-o'-lantern marshmallow candy and say Happy Halloween." "Ooh." Maria pulled yet another sweet out of her handbag, moaning, "Ooh, ooh." Rosa was bewildered and didn't know what to do, as Maria started being difficult again. At that time, there was a sudden blast of thunder. It was probably a sign that this island had been sealed off by the storm and detached from common sense and reality. So, after this moment, all common sense would probably cease to apply. The wind blew even stronger, and amidst the blizzard of scattered rose petals, a figure appeared, leaving Rosa unable to imagine that this was a scene from reality. It was definitely fantastical. After all, that shadow of a person was... Beatrice! Maria dashed over to the shadow. Is that an umbrella? In her hand with the golden handle? Normally, Rosa would scold her daughter if she dashed over to someone whom she hadn't seen before and didn't know. But Rosa forgot to do that, was unable to do anything but stand there stunned. "It's been quite some time. Have you been well?" "Ooh." "I've been well. Witches don't catch colds." "Ooh." Cackle, cackle. Indeed, a witch can use curses to make people catch colds, but how foolish would it be if she caught one herself? From now on, you should take care not to catch something like a cold yourself. She patted Maria's head as she said this, smiling roguishly. Rosa couldn't have known the name of the woman who was happily spoiling Maria. However, Maria had called out in the beginning when the woman appeared. So even though Rosa had never met her, even though the woman still hadn't introduced herself, Rosa was able to know her name. However, that name held a special meaning on Rokkenjima and in the Ushiromiya family. There's no way something that stupid could be. "Beatrice? Happy Halloween. Look at what we bought. I'll give you one too, Beatrice. Ooh." "Indeed, happy Halloween. Oh, is this for me? How truly adorable that a candy would be made out of this. The lonely light of a man lost in the darkness of purgatory, unable to go to heaven or hell. Right now on this island, that has been cut off from both the world of humans and the world of non-humans, there may be no more suitable sweet. Cackle, cackle. Maria, what's wrong with that one?" The witch noticed the sweet Maria was grasping. It was Maria's candy, which had been stomped on by Rosa until it reached this pitiful state. "Ooh, got stepped on and smashed. Can you fix it, Beato?" Maria didn't go so far as to say that it was her mother who stepped on it. However, for some reason, when the witch saw that candy, she looked at Rosa and grinned. A chill went down Rosa's spine as though this gaze was staring straight through her. "It shall be easy. Give it to me." "Ooh." Maria held the candy out gleefully. Rosa could do nothing but watch, stunned. How did this person plan to trick Maria, somehow undoing the fact that the candy had been pitifully trampled? Maria looked as though she had believed it could be fixed good as new. Without real magic, there was no way such a thing could be possible. My, it is quite crushed, isn't it? Come, Maria, close your eyes and try to remember. Because it really was that wonderful a candy. The candy of your memories is always full and fluffy, so you try to remember as well. What kind of candy was it really? Along with those strange words spoken, as though singing an improvised folk song, the witch threw the sweet into the air. Maria was closing her eyes and remembering just as the witch had told her to. What shape had that crushed candy really had? Therefore only Rosa saw that scene. The sweet that had been thrown into the air burst into a gold color. No, that wasn't it. Those were golden butterflies. It scattered into several colorful butterflies, and they began to gather at the witch's hand, which was held up to the sky. And as she did this, unbelievably, it returned to its beautiful original form, no different from when it had been bought. Only Rosa and the witch witnessed that scene. Unable to comprehend what was occurring right before her eyes, Rosa stood with her mouth hanging open, completely forgetting to shut it. You may now open your eyes. Take it. With this, your sweet has returned to normal. Ooh, Beatrice is always incredible giggle. There was a stark contrast between Rosa's shock and Maria's innocent joy. Was that what the witch was laughing at? A smile floated to Beatrice's face, one different from the smile she had shown Maria. Does my face seem familiar? If you stare so fixedly, you might burn a hole through it. I'm sorry. Those words triggered something very clearly in Rosa's mind. Rosa knew this face. She knew it from the portrait of the witch. But no, wait. Could this mystery woman really be? Maria, I give you this in exchange for the sweet you gave me. Ooh, a letter. The witch pulled a western envelope from her pocket and gave it to Maria. However, when Maria made it to open it, the witch stopped her. You must not. The time will soon come for you to open it, but until then, you absolutely must not. Take good care of it. That will be your invitation to the Golden Land. The Golden Land. So you'll finally take me there. Giggle, giggle. Take it and treat it with care. You must not show it to anyone. Ooh? I'll keep that promise. You've always got to keep promises with witches. And this is for you. Huh? Me? She probably hadn't imagined that the witch would speak to her, too. Rosa was bewildered by the second western envelope, which was thrust before her. She'd seen this type of envelope before. There could be no mistake. It was one of Kenzo's special envelopes used when he wrote with his own hand and bearing the Ushiromiya family crest. It was sealed with the red sealing wax. And furthermore, it had a mark that seemed to have been made by the head's ring. In other words, even without asking what was inside this letter, Rosa knew that this woman, whom Maria called Beatrice, was trusted enough to be placed in charge of a personal letter of the current Ushiromiya head. It could have been any of the four siblings. However, the fact that I have met you here probably means that you were chosen by Kenzo's roulette. So take it! Then read its contents aloud while seated at the dinner table, when all of the siblings are gathered. What did you say? Rosa looked back and forth several times between the witch's face and the envelope that had been handed to her. Today was the family conference, and the biggest object of discussion would be the inheritance problem. So, she had joined together with Ava and Rudolph. and they planned to force a certain condition on Kraus to try and extort several 100 million yen in cash out of him. It was as if the witch could see through all of that. What does she intend to announce when all of us siblings are gathered, and with a personal envelope that no one but the Ushiromiya head can use? Maria, the weather is getting worse. Return to the guest house and wait for lunchtime. And Rosa? We will meet again later. Allow me to introduce myself again at that time. Cackle, cackle, cackle. The witch turned her back to her, laughing. Then she began to head towards the mansion with an air of composure. Maria energetically called out and watched her go, then began to dash toward the guest house, leaving Rosa behind, as though she wanted to inform the other cousins of her fortunate meeting with the witch as soon as she could. At last, Rosa was left alone in the rose garden as the winds grew stronger, unable to do anything but pray that what had happened was just a daydream. When the witch reached the entrance hall, Genji could be seen there. Genji welcomed the guest approaching from the entrance hall with a respectful bow. I have been waiting, Beatrice-sama. It's been quite some time, Genji. Humph, you've gotten old. No matter how old it becomes, furniture carries out its work like furniture until the end. I remember how that man's wife used to be jealous of you. Is Kenzo doing well? He is doing extremely well. Humph! Cackle, cackle. The witch probably laughed because she knew Kenzo's own doctor had announced that Kenzo didn't have long to live. However, if anyone actually looked at Kenzo and noticed his vigor, which wasn't at all what you'd expect from someone nearing the end of his life, they might easily call that doing extremely well. Maybe that's what the witch was laughing at. Then let us go and greet him. I look forward to hurling curses at each other after 30 years. As the witch grinned, she started walking, leaving Genji behind. Her gait was like that of a family member who knew the inside of the mansion well. Genji followed her in the manner of one who served her. At that time, Kairi came out of the parlor. She'd probably gone out to fix her makeup or something. And when she saw Genji following a witch, she was surprised, although her expression did not change. A guest for Kenzo had arrived, despite him being almost dead, on the day of the family conference when the fate of the inheritance was to be decided. And furthermore, this person was familiar enough with the Ushiromiya family household that Genji was following behind her. Kairi immediately realized that this person she had never met before was deeply important. Kairi and the witch's eyes met. Realizing that it would be rude to pretend not to notice, she greeted the witch. It's a pleasure to meet you. You are Rudolph's second wife, yes? Correct. This is Kairi-sama, Rudolph-sama's current wife. From this exchange, Kairi realized that this was a guest of fairly high rank and even amidst the Ushiromiya family, and that the fact that this was a guest on that level, coupled with her resemblance to the portrait in the entrance hall, made Kairi's eyes instantly open wide. Pleased to meet you. I'm Kairi. I wonder if this is our first meeting. If we have met before, I apologize for forgetting your name. So, you intend to force me to state my name even though you already have a vague idea of the answer? Kyrie thought she'd given a sociable and humble greeting. I agreed. I actually thought it was very well done, and I thought it was actually very polite the way she did it. I don't think there's any more polite way to do it. Her expression grew slightly cloudy at that openly oppressive response. At any rate, this didn't seem to be a person she could grow to like. But if Kyrie's guesses were correct, this witch probably held a vital key to what her own husband was most interested in, something that couldn't help but influence tonight's family conference. So without shooting back a retort, Kyrie silently watched her go up the stairs to the second floor, with Genji following behind. Also, wouldn't it be kind of rude to just state her name? Like, if you're in Kyrie's position, and even if you felt 100% certain that it was Beatrice, wouldn't it be rude to say her name? Like, isn't it more polite to allow the other person a chance to introduce themselves? I don't know. So when someone tapped her shoulder from behind, she was so surprised she almost choked. It was Natsui. Kyrie-san, why are you standing still in a place like this? Are you not feeling well? I'm sorry, I was just fascinated by the portrait of the witch for a bit. Oh, you mean the Golden Witch Beatrice, the one whose gold was supposedly necessary for the revived Ushiromiya family we see today. Quite a fantastical story, just what one might expect from father. Natsui spoke in a perfectly ordinary way. It was the sort of comment you'd expect from someone convinced that the thought of a witch existing was ridiculous, no more than another of Kenzo's ramblings. However, for some reason, the point of view didn't seem quite right to Kyrie now. Just a moment ago, she herself had seen the Golden Witch come in from the entrance hall and climb up the stairs, so Natsui's words made it feel as though someone was trying to deny the existence of that person, or else make it seem like she was never there to begin with. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm getting a bit of a headache. I think I'll rest for a little while. Oh, is that so? Then I have some good headache medicine. I'll get it for you. Well, thank you, Natsui. That's actually very nice of you. I appreciate that. The hallway in front of Kenzo's study was filled with the scent of sweet poison peculiar to that green liquor. Genji, who was completely used to it, did not grimace, and the Golden Witch didn't grimace either. How long has it been in there? How long has he been in there since last he left? I believe it has already been several years. Is he that desperate to turn me into a bird in a cage? How pitiful. By now you're the bird in a cage. You're the ghost of this study, are you not? How pitiful that he is unable to recognize even that. Until he meets you again, he will probably continue his research, even after literally becoming a ghost. Is it love or madness or delusion? And yet, perhaps even those can form magical power when strong enough. You said magician. The witch grasped the doorknobs to the study. When she did, there was a sound like that of flesh burning and splitting open. It was the sound of the doorknob literally burning the witch's hand. Beatrice-sama? What is this? A ward against magic? You know, if I was a super rich person, I'd probably have wards against magic. Just saying. Is that person unable to get by without relying on something like this? I have heard that this door would cause you great pain, Beatrice-sama. Shall I open it? No, it is fine. If he wins, I will be a bird in a cage for all eternity. If he loses, only the life of a laughingstock will be left. The life of a pitiful magician who went mad with love and lost everything. Already, Kenzo and I are nothing more than pieces laid out on a game board. All that is left is for the roulette to decide who wins and who loses. Until the roulette shows its result, there is no need for me and Kenzo to meet again. The witch looked at her hand, which was beginning to heal bit by bit, even though it had been horribly burned. Or perhaps that is why he has this ward here in the first place. Humph. Yes, perhaps even that is honorable in its own way. By now everything sits on top of Kenzo's game board. I like it, Kenzo. Allow me to enjoy my game with you. Allow me to enjoy the failure of the final gamble of the old magician who fell in love with me and threw away his entire life. Who is it? Excuse me, I have brought lunch. Enter. Excuse me. After receiving approval, Cannon entered the VIP room, pushing the serving cart that carried lunch. The servants called this room the Witch's VIP room. That was because Kenzo strictly ordered that it always be kept clean so that it could be used at any time. Even so, guests would not be allowed into this room no matter who they were. That's why, at some point, the servants had started calling it the VIP room, which is supposed to be set aside only to welcome the special person Kenzo waited for, the witch from that portrait, and today Cannon realized that this was absolutely true. When he entered the room, the blonde-haired witch was gazing out the window. Outside, the rain was no longer falling weakly. As she looked out at the beautiful rose garden, which had been tended to over several days for today's sake, as she saw the winds and rain ravage it, it was struck by some sentimental feelings. Cannon was not able to tell anything more from her back, which faced him. I will prepare the meal. Beatrice-sama. Cannon went out of his way to call the witch's name, hoping that she'd turn around. He wanted to know. He wanted to know if the witch who tempted him and Shan in the past had really appeared again. When he did, the witches whose name had been called laughed, her back still facing him. Holding back her voice, she laughed. Cannon was startled. It was almost as though she had read his mind and knew that he had called out to her, hoping to make her turn around. It smells good. It appears Kraus hired a good cook. Yes. He is called Goda and was employed here recently. There is nothing better than being skilled at cooking. Delicious food completes the 3 pillars of pleasure for living in the human world. It is the secret of preventing boredom after 1,000 years. Cackle, cackle. Cannon and the witch's eyes met. Then she grinned. Without a doubt, certainly. This was clearly the witch from that day, Beatrice. The witch that no one but he and Shannon could see in the past finally held a form and had arrived openly as a guest through the entrance hall. Beatrice Sama. It has been a long time, Cannon. The furniture. Cackle. Not helping his self-esteem, Beatrice. It has been quite some time. Cannon tried to remember to be polite to this guest for the time being. But the visit of this suspicious witch made dark clouds start to enshroud his heart, especially considering that today was the family conference. You appear to be uneasy about what I plan to do, now that I have appeared. Am I right? Well, I mean, you plan to kill people, so there'd have to be something wrong with me for me not to be uneasy about it. Cannon didn't force an answer. This witch probably reads minds. So it's the amount of hentai. So it's pointless to go to the trouble of saying it out loud. Of course, she could read even his inner resistance. So the witch giggled at Kanon's childish defiance. I came to fulfill my final promise with Kenzo. Your final promise with the master? I lent Kenzo a mountain of gold. When Kenzo gives that up, it will be returned to me with interest. I came to accept that interest tonight. I don't know what you're talking about. However, uncertainty began to gather in his heart. Whatever this witch had to say, it couldn't be anything good. Cackle. There's no mistake. Whenever witches have something to say, it's never anything good. You are correct. However, like scissors, the potential of witches depends entirely on how they are used. Sometimes, there are those like King Solomon who succeed in great exploits. However, most who make use of us end up meeting a cruel fate, just like in fairy tales. But Kenzo is crafty. He has incorporated even my collection of the interest into his ceremony. Is he an absurdly powerful magician who can surpass even me, or else a mere fool possessed by madness? Amusing, truly amusing. Kanon couldn't guess what the witch was muttering and laughing about. All he knew was that anything that made this witch laugh must have the exact opposite meaning for everyone else. And in the back of his mind, the horrifying words the witch had spat at him in the past began to surface. What, did you think I'd lend you my power and ask for nothing in exchange? I'll gladly assist a pair in love, and in exchange I'll enjoy watching the cruel fate they'll eventually meet. I have never come across a better show, not over the course of 1,000 years. I don't know, what about Dragon Ball Z? It's a good show. It's a lot of good anime. Has Beatrice ever played Final Fantasy? Of course she hasn't played Final Fantasy 7 or 8 or 5 or 9. This is 1986 when this is taking place. Final Fantasy didn't exist yet. Could it be that you... Yeah. Behold the sweet fish river running through my beloved hometown. You who seek the golden land, follow its path downstream in search of the key. The witch suddenly began to recite a bizarre poem. It was something he remembered hearing. Could it be the witch's epitaph? There was no mistake. It was the epitaph that accompanied the portrait of the witch Kenzo had put on display. The relatives had guessed that it was referred to the location of the hidden gold, but no one knew what it meant for sure. The witch suddenly began reciting the epitaph. Kanon, since you are furniture, I imagine you've heard about it from Kenzo. The day when everything will return to the golden land has come. Rejoice! The day when you will be freed from the shame of living as furniture has finally arrived. I believe you've wanted that for a long time. To furniture which finds no value in its own existence, merely existing day to day, must be nothing but agony. To those with souls, this world is worth clinging to, but those without souls find this world to be full of nothing but suffering. Complicated expressions flitted across Kanon's face. This was the day of release that Kanon had been looking forward to. However, the coming of this day had been mercilessly sudden. For some reason, he didn't like the hateful tone used by the witch as she informed him of the coming of this long-awaited day of rest. Kanon couldn't even decide what emotion he should be feeling. Why do you not rejoice? Could you actually have some regrets left in the real world as mere furniture? I have no regrets, because I am furniture. You truly are a model specimen of furniture. How nice, how nice. However, it won't be any fun if you have no regrets at all. Are you saying regrets are how you find pleasure? That is correct. Most witches who live for 1,000 years get tired of life. In order to escape boredom, I adorn people's fates with fruit and brandy and cook them like cakes. I find humans dancing through oppressive fates inside an oven to be so very entertaining. You see, I'm actually a tad famous in this regard, so much so that rare guests come from far away to see my skill at cooking. Perhaps this is something that mere furniture cannot understand. Cannon couldn't understand what the witch was saying. I mean, it'd be very simple for her to say, hey, there's other witches and occasionally they'd like to come visit. However, he fully realized that this was a terrifying being who treated the fate of humans as a show, enjoying it whenever some harm befell them. However, furniture has no soul or life, much less a fate. Pitiful furniture does nothing but serve until the day that they are released from the real world. To furniture like that, the witch who had come to release them from everything was a being to be received with overflowing affection. Even though the day Cannon should have been waiting impatiently for it come, he was confused by his own inability to accept it easily. Why was it? The face of Shannon, the person he loved as a sister, rose to his mind, and for some reason Jessica's face did too. And Cannon bit his lower lip hard enough that it hurt. Thinking about Jessica like that was something furniture must never do, even though he thought he had known that, even though he'd complained about Shannon's relationship. Why was it that Jessica rose into his mind at a time like this? He felt a little shameful at his own naivete, and to forget about Jessica, he turned his thoughts to Shannon. Shannon is also furniture. She has no reason not to rejoice at the coming of the day when all will return to nothingness. But Shannon, through her relationship with George, has experienced an emotion forbidden to furniture. Even though she isn't qualified to be bonded with him, she's still trapped in a dream that she isn't allowed to have. Will Shannon be able to joyfully accept this development? No, she won't. Shannon still has lingering regrets. Those will probably become a great source of pain and torture for her, and those lingering regrets were planted by none other than this witch. Why? Because that would be more interesting, nothing more. This day that Shannon should have been waiting impatiently for will probably be a harsh burden for her. Giving her emotions that she must never experience. I thank you for granting me, us furniture, the day of our release. And I hate you for making this day so difficult for Shannon to accept. I wanted to make you suffer from your regrets as well, just like Shannon. However, you continue to live like furniture with foolish honesty, never getting ensnared by me. And yet, it seems you loved Shannon a little too dearly, right? Shannon's regrets are now your regrets. Will those feelings transform into hatred for me? If you wish to kill me, give it a try. As Kinzo's furniture, you should have at least that much power, right? However, if you kill me, then the day of rest from furniture will not come for all eternity. Could you bear to live with that? Are you truly capable of resisting when I try to release you? Kneel. What? Kneel and kiss my shoes. Otherwise, I will leave this place. I'll go back and never show myself again for all eternity. So, Cannon, do you think you could bear to live like that? No. If the door to the Golden Land is open, your hard life as furniture will end. If you desire, I can even give you life as a human. After that, you will be on the same level as Jessica. Surely you want to experience the taste of love. There's no point trying to hide it. I can see your boner, Cannon. After seeing Shannon indulging the sea of sweet love, you grew jealous. You are sorely tempted to know the taste of love. Stop it. Are you trying to ensnare me again? I won't be reduced to a toy for your amusement. Oh? Then I will be satisfied with Shannon alone. After all, you aren't the only one who was implanted with the seed. Even fruiting plants sometimes fail to bear fruit after all. The one who obtains the key must then travel to the Golden Land in accordance with these rules. On the first twilight, offer the 6 chosen by the key as sacrifices. On the second twilight, those who remain shall tear apart the 2 who are close. The witch recited the epitaph again. It was so sudden and diverged so strongly from the current topic. However, that challenging smile made it seem almost as though she was using the epitaph as a threat against Canon. Do you not understand? For the ceremony of the epitaph to succeed, at the second twilight, two who are close must be offered as sacrifices. It could be any two who are close. A husband and a wife, or even a pair of lovers. According to the rules of the ceremony, who will be selected is up to me to decide on a whim. Don't you think there could be no more fitting sacrifice for the second twilight than Shannon as she is now? You dirty... Cannon realized something. Until today, he thought he'd given up everything else and lived as furniture, acting like furniture. But in reality, that wasn't true. He loved Shannon too dearly. Therefore, when Shannon was in pain, Cannon shared in that. If only Shannon had continued to live as furniture. Indifferently like Cannon, without any regrets in this world, he wouldn't have had to be in so much pain. The witch planned to toy with Shannon, who had known the taste of love. No, whom she had taught the taste of love as she killed her. She wouldn't be welcomed into the Golden Land and granted a compassionate release. Instead, if the witch had her way, she'd be used as a sacrifice, subjected to the utmost of torture and pain, and forcibly returned into a human foundation for this evil ceremony. And this witch would probably make Shannon meet this horrible fate for no reason other than it was amusing to her. Furthermore, she was threatening to do this so that she could make Cannon, who had never submitted to the witch, finally give in. It was that simple. In the end, though he had tried to resist the witch and avoid pleasing her, he had only made things more amusing for her. After all, he was furniture. No, a toy. They were nothing but toys meant only to distract her from her boredom. Damn. What will you do, Cannon? If you kneel, I might refrain from choosing Shannon as a sacrifice, see? I've always wanted to make a toy like you surrender someday. Without even a fragment of elegance, the witch sneered at Cannon and laughed indecently. That's right, she'd predicted Cannon's submission even before he'd made that decision himself. Cannon chose to get down on both knees in front of the witch. It didn't matter what happened to himself. However, the one thing he couldn't bear to see was Shannon, who had given him his only reason to live during his days as furniture, being toyed with like this. That was why kissing the shoes of the witch was an easy oath for Cannon to make, when his quivering lips actually touched the witch's shoe. Beatrice let a look of ecstasy rise to her face, then laughed with a voice filled to the bursting. At that moment, the witch, who had grown bored of life after 1,000 years, was completely filled with the evil emotion that she lived for. When lunch ended, the relatives moved to the parlor. Rosa had bought a high-class brand of black tea from a famous store in Ginza that had been served, and the parlor was filled with a pleasant aroma. Since the children were there too, the adults tried to interact like normal relatives on the surface, talking peacefully about recent events and how their children were growing up. It had started raining, so the children couldn't do anything but sit there like this, watching TV, unable to go outside. Maria was apparently a TV kid, and she kept watching a boring daytime program without getting bored, giggling all by herself. At first, Battler joined in, seeming to deepen his relationship with Maria, but he had gotten up early that morning and was gradually hit by a wave of drowsiness. Wah! Oh, that's a big yawn. Rom! Did you get up really early this morning? Well, something like that. Now that all the tension's gone, I've started to getting sleepy while listening to the sound of the rain. Tension? You call freaking out like that tension? At least it is for me. Wah. Battler gave another great yawn and slowly lay down on the sofa. He really did look tired. George and the others had tried talking to him, thinking it was a sign of boredom, but when they realized he was sleepy, they decided to let him be. My. They say that if you lie down right after eating, it'll become a mackerel. Oh, stop kidding around. Goto-san said we'd be having calf steak tonight. That'd make it mackerel steak. Kumasawa-san. He looks pretty tired. Could you get him a blanket or a Red Bull? Then again, Red Bull doesn't exist at this point in time. Oh, here you go. Kumasawa brought a blanket over from the shelf. The large parlor wasn't cold, but the air had gotten a little chilly, so when Battler took the blanket, he immediately wrapped himself up in it like a turtle. You really were sleepy. When would you like to wake up? I'll wake you. Nah, can't say I've got any particular requests. You can wake me up if you need something from me. And if you don't, just let me sleep forever. Night. Ooh? Battler's sleeping. A nap? A nap? Ooh, I'll do it too. Hey, Maria? Battler's sleepy, so you gotta leave him alone. Kumasawa-san, could you give us another blanket? It was doubtful whether Maria really wanted to take a nap. She probably saw Battler wrapped up in a blanket and wanted to do the same thing. When she received the blanket from Kumasawa, she joyfully wrapped herself up in it and set up camp again in front of the TV. Sheesh. And just when we'd finally gathered all the cousins together after 6 years, this guy doesn't have a clue that he's the main guest of this family conference, does he? I can still hear you. We took it easy eating lunch. And there's even a typhoon and rain outside. Since I've got nothing to do, that means it isn't my turn yet. I wonder about that. If you have a passive attitude like that and never do anything unless something else happens, your life will be pretty boring, right? No, that's not what I mean. How should I put it? At times like this, I like to think about it this way. It isn't my turn. If this were a play, it wouldn't be my turn to go on stage. So the best thing to do is stay on the wings of the stage. You're always the main character of your own life, right? Why are you acting like you're in a supporting role? You've got to move forward by yourself and get up on the stage. That's not what I mean. I'm trying to say it's not my turn yet. Kya. Sorry, I'm sleepy. My mind's a mess. Give me a break. Munyanyam. No kidding. You're so sleepy you're spouting nonsense. Let's leave him be for now. Hey, I can't let him get away with saying crap like that. You're always the main character in your own life. I've got serious issues with what Battler's saying. He's just half asleep. Don't take him too seriously. It's just that lack of guts. You know, not wanting to go on stage just because you think you can't be the main character. Something about it just pisses me off. With distant eyes, Jessica gazed out of the window at the gray rose garden obscured by the rain. When she put her forehead up against the glass, the pleasantly cool sensation seemed to chase away memories she was trying to forget. So it just wasn't your turn yet. Is that it? Then just when will you get up on the stage? In that case, who the heck is the main character on this stage? Dang, it's like you think you can do whatever you want. What the hell is all this? It's all screwed up. I was merely amused that your reason for denying me was based on whether there were 18 or 19 people. I just tried changing my opening move, no more. Your greatest basis for denying me is simply that I wasn't laid out as a piece on the game board. So all I have to do is start by focusing on the queen, like this. Isn't opening the road for the queen on your first turn one of the classic moves in chess? Quit playing around. There's no way I can accept something like this, right? A witch came in walking right in through the entrance hall, you say. Don't mess with me. What's this? In the last game, I gave you incredible freedom in making your moves, correct? This time, all I'm doing is moving my pieces in response to your moves. Are you already giving up right at the start? You bastard. Don't mess with me. Like hell I'd give in. Great. Great move. Go ahead. Just move however you like. Okay, so your turn's far from over, is it? Move however you want. From a huge battle formation while you still can. Form a huge battle formation while you still can. I'll definitely withstand you. I'll definitely corner you. Come at me best you can. I don't want you to have any excuses. You aren't even close to making me accept something like a witch. That's right. Just now, it looked like Maria's candy was fixed with magic. But you might have actually had another one of the same candy hidden in your pocket, and switched them with that little show, making it only look like you fixed it with magic. Yeah, that's right. That has to be it. It's useless. All useless. Oh-ho? I don't know. Like I said, I think a healthy bit of skepticism is good, but I also think you have to have an open mind and you have to be able to have faith in things too. Honestly, my complaint with Beatrice isn't the powers that she has, it's more so just her attitude toward, other people. Rosa saw the moment when the candy split into butterflies, correct? Who cares about that? That was all hallucination or trick, or maybe she just saw it wrong. That isn't a big problem. So you throw out the part you can't explain as trivial. I see, is that your move in response to mine? You've dug your own grave. Ooshi Romeo Battler. It still isn't your turn yet. Allow me to make my move for a little longer. It has barely begun, the turn of the witch. When they started hearing Battler's snores, the relatives went their separate ways, leaving the parlor and letting Battler sleep in silence, even though it had been so lively in the parlor with so many people gathered there. When all of them scattered at once and were swallowed up by the vast mansion, it created an eerie silence with no sound except that of the rain. Nope. I haven't met a person like that even once, Umineko. I haven't met them. Kairi-san, is that true? Even I only greeted her briefly when she came into the entrance hall. She looked like she was a bit over 20. I told her my name, but she didn't tell me hers. She was being guided by Genji-san, and I saw her go up to the second floor. So it'd probably be faster to find Genji-san and ask him directly. Still, what a strange turn. The mystery woman had spoken to Kairi. Without naming herself, she had sneered that Kairi should have had a vague idea as to her identity that brought someone to mind. And then there was her look-alike, the witch in the portrait. Was this person trying to say she was the witch of the portrait herself? I realized she was probably laughing at me for that reason. Even though it was only our first meeting, she spoke as though she knew I'm your second wife. Umineko? You really don't know anyone like that. You talk too much. I've never seen a blonde woman like that go in or out of the mansion. That kind of thing doesn't matter. The problem's what happens if that woman starts calling herself Beatrice, if she starts calling herself the manager of Father's assets. Or maybe she plans to call herself his mistress, his daughter, and demand that she get a share of the inheritance. Either way, we've had a heck of a joker slipped into the deck. Did Nissan bring her here, or did Father? This is bad. We thought we could manage something if we could corner Nikki in our talks, but this takes us back to square one. I don't know what kind of schemes you've been making when I'm not around, dear, but it looks like we've been given a little bit of time to form a counter-strategy. Yeah, better to have some time to prepare than to have that blonde-haired maid Chan suddenly appear at the dinner table and scare the shit out of us. Until we know why she's appeared, there's a limit to the kinds of counters we can make. What can she be after? Isn't it obvious? She's going to claim that she's the rightful heir to Father's inheritance. Father is still captivated by Beatrice. If he had a daughter with her, you can bet that he'd want to leave all his fortune to her. She might even thrust some strange will in front of us. If we take it to court, we could probably claim a quarter of a half of it, but it will probably be impossible to divvy out the inheritance until that's settled. We can't have that. I can't, and neither can you, Rudolph. And the same goes for Rosa, right? Each one of us needs to gather money quickly for our own reasons. It's our biggest weak point. So, what are they after? Kyrie, can you guess? This is all news to me, but it sounds like we're starting to form the premise that we got an urgent need to collect money, right? Kyrie-san? In a man's business, you sometimes need funding when you're on the offensive. Please understand that. What's this, Rudolph? You didn't tell Kyrie-san about it? Sorry. I wasn't really hiding it. Actually, it was kinda... It's alright. If you decided this wasn't something you needed to tell me about, I won't press you about it right here. What's more important is finding out what this golden witch is after, right? Yeah. Now that you know what we know, can you see how the enemy might come at us? Rudolph had a certain measure of trust in Kyrie's unique thinking technique, chessboard thinking.